everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Rugby with Pads. I'm your host, Sam, and it's finally here. The season has started. Rejoice. We've got real football. Last night, this had been recorded on a Friday. Apologies, I wanted to record it early to capture the Thursday night football game, but Thursday night football game did happen. The Thursday night football game did happen, and we had Dallas versus Philadelphia. Philadelphia coming out on top, 24-20 in a second half that was super weird and super tense. I still feel like as an opener, it was an opener. There were still not quite things happening the way it should. I mean, if you talk about false starts, let's talk about Jalen Carter spitting at Dak and getting ejected before any snaps had happened. Javonte Williams managed to be decent for fantasy, but not as good as obviously Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley. Some of the pass catches you're a bit disappointed at. CD you were happy with, Dak you weren't. It went how we thought it would, so I didn't feel like it needed the preview, but you got the post view instead, the review. That's what it's called. But instead today we are going to be looking at hot or not starts and sits, your sneaky starts and sneaky sits. I might be changing the name of this. I don't really know what I'm going to do, but also taking a look at your waiver ads for week one, because we still have a little bit of a waiver period. And for a lot of leagues, the league started on Tuesday or Wednesday officially. You probably have a small waiver window post-draft, because we've all just gone draft. We also have a perfect team, so waiver decisions are going to be few and far between, but I've got a few suggestions for you anyway. But without further ado, let's get into the rundown and let's take a look at the games game by game. I'm going to give you a hot or not, depending on kind of what I feel like is going on in that game. And we're going to start with Kansas City at LA Chargers. I think this has got real potential to be quite a cagey game. It's in Brazil, which means everyone's travelled. Expect lots of short yardage plays to set up something more explosive from both teams. I think they've got a lot of complementary football. In terms of a top player, it's not even a sneaky start. I think you're looking at Lab McConkey. Kansas City will come back with a stifling defense. Trent McDuffie is out, I believe, but still, they've got a really good defense. But this guy is such a dude in the zones, and I think he's just going to be such a safety blanket for not Patrick Mahomes, for Herbert this year. Someone I would sit though in the kind of opposite mindset, and this is my first kind of major, let's not get overboard in here, is Xavier Worthy. Xavier Worthy is going to be a good player. He's incredibly fast. He's going to be dominating those explosive plays you see. Is he Tyreek Hill? No, he is not. Is he Tyreek Hill in his prime? Definitely not. But there will be explosive plays there, few and far between, because I think that Harbaugh defense, the defense that has been widely underrated for the Chargers, I think is going to come through. And I don't think the Chargers are going to charge it. I think they're going to actually do really well in this game. I think it's going to be a close, cagey game, but I expect the Chargers to come out on top. Outside of that, we've got our Sunday night. So that, by the way, is a Friday night game. So the same warning that I give you on Thursday night games, get your Thursday night players out of your flex plot. Do it for your Friday night guys as well. It says Saturday on here because I'm in the UK, but your Friday night players should not be in flex spots unless you have to. It gives you more flexibility throughout the weekend. Trust me, if you know, you know. Tampa Bay versus Atlanta. I still see the pass rush that they have invested heavily in. Got two new guys in Atlanta settling in. Godwin is unavailable, which means I think it's time in the pocket with a really strengthened, although they're missing Vita Vea, really strengthened O-line is going to be really, really important for Tampa Bay's success. I can see Mike Evans and Egbuka absolutely feasting, and Egbuka is going to be my sneaky start. In my predictions episode, he was one of my top players to go after. I think he's going to be a top 20 wide receiver. Even when Chris Godwin gets back, I think he's going fantastic. He is already on your rosters, but someone who is not is... It's going to be my first waiver pick here. It's going to be Darnell Mooney. He's only on 61% of rosters and he's not being started. I think he is the de facto number 2. And in my predictions, I think he's going to outperform Drake May on targets. Not Drake May, Drake London on targets. So if you're in a PPR league, he is someone fantastic. And we've yet to see how it all shakes out. So I think in that kind of unknown, Darnell Mooney can really feast. And I think he might be a favoured target down the stretch. Plus he's a waiver ad. If you're struggling in first week, you shouldn't really be, but he's someone I would be looking towards. Cincinnati at Cleveland, I think this is going to be a bit of a blowout. Yeah, Cincinnati have a truly terrible defense on paper, but they will rack up points on offense. Joe Burrow, I think, will finally start off with a bit of momentum behind you. And if you've watched quarterback this season, you'll know he desperately needs that. Notably missing, you've got Judkins, who is, I don't think, signed yet. Sneaky start, I would be looking at Mike Gesicki. Cleveland still have a pass rush. They've got Myles Garrett, and I can't remember who the new guy is. It's not Shamar Stewart, it's the other one. Either way, Gesicki could be the safety valve for a very pass-happy Joe Burrow. Sneaky sit, even though Judkins is out, I don't think Jerome Ford is a guy. I think it will be a bit more committee-led, and I don't think he has the juice to lead the backfield, especially when I think they'll be chasing the game, because I think Cincinnati could score on every down, on every push, which is something I don't think we're going to be seeing from Cleveland. Next game up, Miami, Indianapolis. The only note I have here is I think this is going to be a rubbish game because I don't think either team is good. But a waiver ad for you is going to be Ollie Gordon. He could be a really good spot start if A.K.A. is out. If he goes down, he is a different kind of player. He's a bit chunkier, 6'2", 225, as you can see on the screen here. He's a different runner, but he's got some off-season pop, so he would be a sneaky waiver ad. Would I be starting him? Only if you hear reports that A.K.A. is not playing, because if not, I think the offense goes through A.K.A. Vegas, New England. Again, I don't think I've really got much to say about this game because I still don't know anything about them. Obviously, you're starting Genty, you're starting Drake May, you're starting Trevor Henderson with the hope that he doesn't get outshone by Ramondre Stevenson. I think it's going to be an interesting and probably quite close game, probably going in New England's favour at home. Arizona, New Orleans. Start the Arizona defense. That's big as I can say. It's against the poorest potential offense in the league, starting Spencer Rattler. Yeah, I don't even know. I think it's starting Spencer Rattler, but even so, if you saw him, he's got a bit of flash, but he's very prone to a lot of turnovers. So I expect that to happen. And because the game script is going to go heavily in their favour, your top player this week is going to be James Conner. You are going to want to start him over everything else. You probably draft him as your running back 2 or 3. Make sure he is locked in as your running back 1. See him with plenty of early opportunities down the middle. Someone who I'd sit because I just don't think the offense is going to go through him. Chris Olave, without a settled lineup, I think someone else could take over. And with Rashid Shaheed, they're signed recently. Kamara could be his game if they're doing short passes. I think it's going to be that kind of game. I don't see Olave getting settled in. So he is a sit for me, and you probably have him as your wide receiver 2 or 3. Pittsburgh, New York Jets, sorry. This is going to be a grumpy game, I think. It's both tough defenses, but I think it's a hopeful rebalancing of both teams. More passing from the Steelers, better running from the Jets. As a waiver ad, if you're looking for anyone, tight end is a bit thin this year. Once again, Mason Taylor could be the guy, and he would be my sneaky start, actually. He could be the number 2 offense in that offense if they pass. I think if you're that desperate at tight end, you want to pick him up and start him straight away. But a sneaky sit for me, even though you've probably drafted him as your wide receiver 1 or 2, is going to be DK. It's a defense in the Jets that is still nasty. It's Aaron Glenn taking it over. They're going to take away the number 1 option for Aaron Rodgers. He'll be hyper targeted, but will he also be hyper covered as well by 2 very good corners in Jets world? New York Giants versus Washington Giants could be feisty. Yeah, I think that's right. That's true. And Washington secondary is poor. Straight up, it's poor. So this could be a shootout, in my opinion, if Russ gets it. And I'm a big fan of Russ this year. In terms of a top player, you've got to be starting Daniels here. You've taken him as your quarterback 1. Keep him starting. I think a sneaky start, though, is the other quarterback, Russell Wilson. Just for this week, I think it could be very interesting playing in division and against a secondary which isn't great. Sneaky sit, though, I think McLaurin could be interesting. I think despite him being number 1 and re-signing and all this and he's missed an entire preseason. He's going to have a bit of ring rust on him. The start you want potentially is going to be Debo instead, and I've talked about him in my predictions episode. Moving forward, Carolina, Jacksonville, Battle of the South here. Who am I favouring? I'm probably favouring Carolina. I don't know why. Just feel like they're a team that I think is in the ascendancy. I haven't got much to say about this game. You're starting T-Mac. I think he's going to be a top player, and I really think he could get off the board quickly. A sneaky start if you're desperate at flex. I'm looking at Tank Bigsby. Carolina can be run on, and Tank Bigsby is the runner. Travis Etienne is not. And I think in a new system, they're going to give him his fair shot. Tennessee, Denver. I just feel like this game is going to disappoint massively. I don't like any of the players on either side, really. But I'll be looking at the usage of the Denver running back room with my eyes firmly set on RJ Harvey. The only kind of player roster advice I've got for this game is Engram. I'm thinking he is a sit against... Yeah, I just don't think he's going to get the red zone targets. He's probably a viable play. He's going to be a tight end, 12 probably in this. But I think when you're pairing with Sutton, he's not going to be the number one option. On the other side, I also think Ridley might not be the number one option for Tennessee. So we're getting a lot of sits here in a game that I think is going to be dominated by the Denver defense and the lack of Tennessee defense, where they're just going to maybe potentially just go down the running back route and see what they can do on the floor in Denver. I think this is as an easy win for Denver, but don't expect it to be high scoring. San Francisco, Seattle, everyone's really high on San Fran this year, and I kind of see it. CMC is my lock of the week. He is my top player, even though he's got calf issues. I am praying he is going to be fantastic for that. And Ricky Pearsall, again, is going to be a start. He's probably your wide receiver 4. I think he elevates your wide receiver 2 position because everyone is injured and everyone is hiding injuries. He's going to be targeted well against a Seahawks team that I think could be feisty. And I'm not going to say anything more than that, but I am going to continue my narrative of off-season discontent against Ken Walker. I just don't think the game script is going to work for him. I think they will end up running a lot because that's what they're going to do. You can just see it's going to happen. But I think you're going to get more zone runs coming from Zach Charbonnet, passing downs, which Ken Walker has not been known to be fantastic at. And I think just more fair distribution of the ball. They're going to have to throw it to keep up in this game. Definitely. We'll have to see what happens there. Detroit, Green Bay, Battle of the North. I can't call this one, but without Ben Johnson, I think the interesting question to see is who will they be. Less trick plays, but the roster is still great. I think it'll more go through Gibbs. A pickup that I would advise you to go and look at is Isaac Tesla, if only for the fantastic name as well, Tesla, not Tesla. But also, I think he could be just a weird mismatch kind of guy. 28% rostered on Sleeper at the moment, only 1% started because no one's brave enough to start him over anyone else. But if you're in a deep league, I think he's been picked for a reason. He is a Dan Campbell guy, so maybe go and take a look at him as well. Outside of that, you're starting the people you're starting in that league. The wide receiver room in Green Bay, I think the only one to avoid is maybe Reed because of injury. I think outside of that, pick your poison. They're all kind of wide receiver 3-4 range, and I would be avoiding it anyway. Houston, Los Angeles. Obviously, we've got Mixon is on the pup for 5 weeks. It'd be really interesting to see who comes up. I think it's going to be Chubb. Yes, he is 80% rostered because people are smart. People are getting to this, but a couple of weeks ago, he was not. You probably picked him up in a very, very late round. Is he going to be the guy? I don't think he'll be the only guy. I think we'll see flashes of other guys as well, but we'll have to see. Rams defense has never been great against the run. They never really invest. We really never invest in run game defense. However, we'll see what happens. I think they could be better than advertised, as they always are. Nick Chubb, though, has not lost all of his step, we hope. He is still big, he is still strong, and he is still fun to watch. I don't think he is going to have an impact in week 1, but you want to have him. If he's available on waivers, go pick him up. Burn that priority. I think he could be really interesting. On Monday Night Football, sorry, this is Sunday Night Football, we've got the primetime game. We've got Bills versus Baltimore. It's in Bills Park, where Highmark Stadium. That's it, in Western New York. This is going to be a great game, but I think it's going to be a great tactical game, and I think it's going to be a bit cagey. There is a couple of decent waiver pickups. I think Josh Palmer on the roster could be interesting. 32% rostered, currently only 3% started. Is he a number 2? Yes. Could he have spot plays? Yes. Is he potentially going to outscore Khalil Shakir season long? Also, yes. Do I think he's a regular start for your wide receiver 1 or 2 position? No, I do not, because I don't think the volume is there. Mark Andrews is going to be the guy you are going to want to start. He is your top player, I think, because likely it's going to be unavailable. He's likely unavailable. Wide receiver order is going to be interesting. Both tough defenses. You're potentially targeting against the Buffalo secondary with your starting. I don't know. You're starting. I'm asking myself the question: am I starting any of the wide receivers for the Ravens? And I'm not. I just can't do it. So probably a sit is the wide receivers in Baltimore until someone really comes out and grabs a hand of it and becomes a absolute alpha. It's Mark Andrews until Likely gets back. And Monday Night Football, we have Minnesota versus Chicago. You will hear from me before this game goes on. But another Battle of the North. I love these divisional battles in these tentpole weeks. It's fantastic. Ben Johnson has had all the preseason to set up for this game. So has Kevin O'Connell. It's going to be a battle of offensive minds. And I'm interested to see who it's going to be, who leads the offense for both teams. For Chicago, is it going to be Luther Burden? Is it going to be DJ Moore? Who's it going to be? Roma Dunze is still there as well. Obviously, you've got Colston Loveland as well. I think it's going to be fantastic. So we'll have to see what happens there. But my top 2 players, my top player is going to be Hockenson. He is a second option, a safety blank for what I am seeing as a rookie QB start in JJ McCarthy. And Mason is going to take over from Aaron Jones, and I think this could be his coming out party. So I see him there, and the Chicago defense is tough. I could see Mason getting the short yardage play when they're in the red zone, and that's what you want from a running back. You want red zone touches. So that's your lot, guys. A lot of information there. Go to socials and you can see my starts and sits a bit more cleverly put out there, I guess. And I will be back with a review and waivers show on Monday next week. Yes, I think before Monday Night Football, and then back once again on Thursday Thursday later that week as well. Thank you so much for listening. If you've liked this, please share, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. If you can, go and follow on the socials at Rugby with Pads. Find me if you want to go support the pod, rugbywithpads.com, and you can support the pod financially, get yourself some merch, all of that fun stuff. But without further ado, I will leave you, and I will see you all extremely soon. Now, in fact, on the virtual gridiron.